Hello and welcome to Eye on the Storm. Welcome back from Thanksgiving holidays. We did all sorts of fun things during the holidays, didn't we? Didn't we, team?
We did. We did. We had some Trollsgiving, and it was pretty epic. And if you missed that, you should definitely go watch it because it was amazing. And it's on our YouTube channel.
It involved these guys. These two guys down here.
Yes, yes.
But this show is going to be a little less trolly, only slightly less trolly. This show is called Eye on the Storm. If it's the first time you're tuning in, it is a show about Heroes of the Storm. It started out as a way for us to kind of share with people who couldn't get into the alpha yet and tell them a little bit about the game and the basics of it so they could catch up with us once they get in. And it has evolved into still learning those basics, bringing people along with us, helping them be equipped as they get into the alpha, and also beginning to kind of follow the meta as it develops and following the pro scene, talking to pros like the ones you see here as our guests.
Yes, so if you don't know who we are, I am Gillyweed, SC2. I started out making StarCraft content, and I've been switching-ish over to Heroes, and I kind of do both now. And my co-host is Anna.
Sorry for the Skype sounds. They will stop. I'm Anna Prosser Robinson. I do things all over esports. I do some things and some other things. I also work for Good Game Agency. I help them make videos, a lot of videos at the end of the year, which is why I am maybe a little bit scatterbrained today. But this channel that we're on is called Misscliks. I'm also a part of Misscliks. It's this great community and website and streaming channel where we're trying to uplift and support and provide exposure for female role models in geeky gaming culture, with the idea that we just want there to be more female role models out there. And so we're trying to do that by bringing you exciting content and those female voices. So this is one of those shows. And of course, we want to thank our guests for joining us in that mission and in our mission to kind of share Heroes of the Storm with everyone. So I'd like to welcome our guests from Team 2ARC. Tell them who you are, guys.
And speaking on that...
MrJPickles, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first over here at MrJPickles.
They're switched on the overlays, Anna.
Oops. I'll work on that. You guys just talk. I'll fix it. Don't worry.
Okay.
I'm QuibsY. I'm the shot caller for Team 2ARC, primarily a tank / initiator player. I might move roles here coming shortly, maybe not, but that's where I fit in right now. And then MrJPickles.
MrJPickles. I am the tank initiator for 2ARC, and we'll probably stay that role. And got a little few tears coming for this patch that we're going to be talking about.
One with a fantastic mustache.
Yes.
That is a fantastic mustache. I'm not gonna lie.
Thank you. Took some time.
Well,
thank
speaking
you guys
of, go ahead.
so much for coming on the show. We very much appreciate it. And talking about that patch, that's going to be our topic of this week. We're going to be talking about the new patch that came out. For starters, there were some really cool things like a new hero, Jaina, who we'll be featuring in our hero spotlight later. We also had some holiday skins. We had Winter Veil, Jaina, and Great Father Winter Rhaegar, who basically looks like Santa, the Santa type. There was also a reindeer mount, which is like Rudolph, of course. And then 3 master skins came out as well, ETC, Malfurion, and Jaina. So those were some of the big things coming out. We also had the addition of stim packs. They're not actually, if I recall, in the game quite yet, but they are coming soon. These are things you can purchase from the shop, and you can choose from different durations for however long you're going to play. Once you buy it, and then the effects begin immediately, and when you complete games, while under the effects of the stim pack, you get 100% additional XP and 150% additional gold per game.
Dude, I'm stoked for that. I mean, I would want to say that I'm such a hardcore gamer that like, I don't need buffs to my XP, but I miss the, like the double XP week that we had and some of those like weekend bonuses and stuff. I like playing under those, so if I can use my gold to buy those, I certainly will.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you want master skins.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's so hard to get
my
from
main
9 to
impression.
10. That last like jump.
I was trying so hard to get to 10. I was telling JC before the show about it. I was trying super hard to get to 10 on Jaina.
Mhm.
Just
before
so you
the
could
show,
show off that Jaina
just
mount.
so I could get the
Ah.
Jaina Master Skin, and it's just like I saw that you need 4.5 million experience. I was like, oh, I guess this isn't happening today. So, I will
So you
work-
guys are excited for the stim packs, even though you're definitely probably at 40, I would guess, for your
Yeah, it's
Yeah, that XP
if we were to
is-
get it, it'd be gold and skin thingies, skin
Mhm.
tints.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, cool. Has there been any talk about when those are actually going to be available? Have you guys heard anything? I have not.
Blizzard soon.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Trademark.
Soon.
I know you're gonna
They're
be
in
able
the
to
shop.
see them. Yeah, you can
Yeah,
see
you
them
can
in
you
the
can
shop.
click to it.
Mhm.
But
In
nothing
fact, let
is
me
there.
see if I can pull that up real quick for you guys. Do.
They just tease it.
They announce it, but then they're like, but you can't actually have them yet. So there's that.
Yeah, see, I can click on
No.
stim packs, but there's nothing showing up here in the actual game right now.
I want to know if there's going to be like a 24-hour where you would want to play just straight for 24
Yeah.
hours.
Oh my gosh, that would be awesome. We could have just a binge day.
Binge day. We should. That'd be awesome.
It's gonna be really cool to have stim packs for those people that do like 24-hour marathons.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
it's like they will get so much experience. it's like 45 games if you win every single one of them from 9 to 10.
Oh man.
And so like, well, it's not 45 anymore. It's 20. Like that's
That's crazy.
and there's some people that are saying like, oh, well, if I don't have money, they can unlock more heroes than me. Well, that's true anyway. Like it's just a different way to do it. So I really like in every other MOBA that has multiple heroes that you like unlock slowly,
Mhm.
they've had it. You look at League of Legends and Smite come to my mind,
Mhm.
and they both have like experience or gold
Yeah,
boosts.
IP boosts.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. It's good. I don't know. No need to bash it. I mean, if you want to pay, get the boost. All right. If you don't do it. You're good.
I mean, I can understand like the typical kind of like hardcore gamer mantra is like, don't make it easy for me, or don't make it easy for other people so my accomplishments count less. You know, like
Yeah.
the hardcore, and I get that, I understand it, but I don't know. I'm for it. It doesn't bother me personally.
Yeah, we play the game so much, I don't think it really affects anybody that's
Yeah.
playing it a lot. So I don't know why you'd even be worried. Like, they don't really get any bonuses from it. I mean, I guess if you get a boost and then level a hero from 1 to 4, yeah, you did it quicker than somebody who didn't get that boost.
Mhm.
But I mean, that's 1-2 games, maybe 3. It's like, it's nothing impactful.
Yeah, and I think it's a nice nod to the fact that this is a free-to-play game, but it's pay to enjoy in a lot of ways, you know? And so, like,
Mhm.
if I really, really want a skin, and I'm really committed to the idea of not buying that skin, or, you know, something like that, where I want a way to really earn more gold, or, you know, whatever it is, then I'm kind of into that. I like them kind of giving you options of ways that you can build up capital in the game if they're going to make it a free-to-play game, you know?
Hey, Anna, the names are apparently flipped again.
Oh my
'Cause you went
gosh.
to the new. Well, you went to the new.
I
You
swear,
looked
I
up all
swear
the-
I know which one of you is which, and I swear when I did these overlays, I double checked, but this is just, it's one of those days, guys. I'm really glad you're
So
both here with
close.
us to keep me honest.
Don't worry, we got this. All right, well, while Anna fixes that again, we can move on. There were some changes to Battlegrounds. So a couple of general changes, and we'll start with the one that wasn't in the patch notes for whatever reason, but the core got shield and life buffs.
Ninja
So,
buffed.
yeah. I don't really know the purpose of not putting it in patch notes, but what do you guys think of it?
They were like swept it under the rug. They were like, we messed up, just push it under the rug.
Yeah, I think it's pretty huge because if you don't kill the core, I know there's been a few times we've been playing and we'll get the core to 5% and then the shield regens to like 50% really quickly.
Mhm.
And when you go for death pushes and stuff like that, if you don't like, it has a lot of health. It's really difficult to kill it in the early game. Like they don't even out until level 12 on the old core is level like not even level 1 on the new core. So
Wow.
it's a huge gap. And like they finally even out at about 21 minutes into the game.
Oh,
But that's
level.
Level? I thought it was minutes. No, that's minutes. It's game time minutes.
Is it?
Yeah, it's game time minutes. Yeah.
So do you think that they did it to try to move away from those push? Because something that I had always heard was that they wanted to keep these games shorter than a lot of other MOBA games, and so it seems like it's going to lengthen games quite a
Yeah,
bit.
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
It makes
has.
it so that you can't have those. It's almost not possible to have those like 7-minute, 8-minute games anymore, though.
Mhm.
And the reason I think they're doing that is because they've already said numerous times they want the game to be longer than the queue, basically. Like let's say we actually have picks and bans in the game, right? Nice mug. sorry. Anyway, say we actually have picks and bans, right? And we have 30 seconds each to pick our hero, right? And 30 seconds for the ban. Well, there's 12 different picks, 12 times 30. It comes up to quite a bit of time, and then we play it on Haunted Mines, and they get, well, we lost the first fight. They got a 100 skull golem. They end the game, and well, it took me longer to get into the game than it did to actually play the game. So, the early game pushes are not like you can't do it anymore. Like it's almost not even endable if you don't have an objective unless you're like super far along into the game. Like,
so it makes
when I
map
say objective, I mean
objectives-
like golems, knights, siege giants, something like that.
Right.
It makes map objectives more of a thing to go for to help you end the game rather than completely ignored. So it's cool on one spectrum, but then on the other, it's like
I remember playing. Because I've played like almost nothing but Jaina since she came out, and I remember trying to end games, and since you don't do any damage to the buildings because you can't chill it, like I'm just like kill the core. We're all 5 here. We're level 16. This thing will die in like 40 seconds. And then I'm sitting there throwing out my spells and auto attacking for like 100, and I'm just like, this thing is not even remotely dying. So it's I don't like that they didn't show. I wonder if they didn't show it because they don't want us to
maybe it's just
know the
tentative. They want to
stats.
see
'Cause,
how it
like,
goes.
that's why you
Yeah.
can't click any buildings or anything. They don't want us to know the stats. So
Yeah, it is. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
That's
easy to
probably why.
forget that it's still in alpha, and that a lot of this is just
Yeah.
for them to be like, what would happen if we did this? What would happen if we did this? You know, and like,
what if we added artifacts?
yeah. So, I mean, as much as we're like, oh, this is gonna ruin our game, it's like we have to remember this isn't our game yet. You know, it's not even finished. But I agree. I was really a little bit surprised to see that because I feel like I was just getting the hang of knowing, like, okay, this is the point where my team is strong enough that we can throw ourselves against the core, and we all might die, but we'll win. You know what I mean? And so just
Right.
having gotten the hang of that and now being like, I'm not going to be able to do that anymore was like, oh, come on.
Yeah, it's really going to change the inner sense of game time. when
That'll
you
be fun though. I like shaking it up a little bit. We'll see.
Yeah. And now taking out 2 opponents and then trying to push for end will be a lot harder.
Yeah.
Or
I do kind of like the idea though of it supporting having the map objectives because that is one of the things that differentiates heroes
Right.
from any other game type is the different maps and the map objectives. So if that's the purpose, then that makes a lot of sense. It's not something that I had considered. I was just like, why is it stronger all of a sudden?
I noticed the first game that I sat down and played. I was just like, this is way like it's not even close to
Really?
what it was in the old game. Like you could, it's not even possible to end the game prior to like level 12 at least with a grave golem or something. Like you need so much help.
Well, along that, I guess another general change as well was that instead of having experience for taking down a fort and a keep, is it forts and keeps or just one of them?
Town halls.
I can't tell
Town
because they
halls.
call it town halls.
That's another thing. We don't know what things are called yet. They could call it whatever they want. It's still an
true.
alpha.
If
They
you
could
think
call
of
it
the
they
game,
could call it a
it's fort.
pickle, you know, and then it would be
Yeah.
really
Pickle.
confusing.
MrJPickles likes that. Well, anyway, the experience, it's not all just in that one building now. It's in that building, but then also in the towers as well, correct?
yes.
And the reasoning for that, can you guys see, is I didn't really understand.
You can really get early game swings now with map objectives. So if you can get an early plant tear, like if you can get a plant tear on night 1 and then push with it and just take out a few walls, you can get a huge boost out of that. Or on the dragon, if you take out a few towers, you can get a huge boost out of that. And so it really puts emphasis on how important those towers are. And then also if you have like a more pushy composition and you go for early tower, like there's a huge, like just a massive number of advantages you can get now with those towers.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's been talks from different teams that are more competitive on like Garden of Terror, just like, all right, we're gonna get like 90 seeds and then they can have the rest because the next night we're gonna get 2 plant terrors. Like that's the plan going into the game. But like that's not as strong a strategy anymore because now you're saying, well, and you know the thing is we're gonna give them this one and then we're gonna get 2 the next night and defend this fort. Doesn't matter if we lose the wall. Well, now if they take the wall, I think it's 400 per turret in the frontmost. So you're getting 800 out of the 2,000 that it used to be. So like those early map objectives are actually really substantial, as well as there's a lot of heroes in the game that they have that are pushers, and like Zagar, Nazebo, Esmedan, who really don't shine in the late game, but they do shine in the early, where you're making a trade then instead of just flat out losing because you picked some earlier game heroes and you didn't quite get the fort because they got 7 and they got Mule or whatever the case may be. Well, now it's at least where you have some breathing room as to, well, we don't have to kill that entire thing, we just have to kill some of the things, like and it also rewards players for killing things, which is one of Blizzard's things that they said numerous times. They're like, well, you killed a thing, something should happen.
Well, cool. I like that. I like the benefit for supports because, or not supports, specialists. Yeah, because it has seemed like a lot of them, with the exception of Abathur, have been not as used of late. So I like the idea of trying to get them in more.
Yeah, and the whole gathering experience thing is such a delicate balance a lot of times in this game, so that may make it a little bit easier to balance, where you're like, okay, I've got someone in that lane and they're pushing, and that's going to yield us some experience, as opposed to like, we're going to have to sacrifice the experience for that. So that's cool.
And the numbers will probably change on the turrets and whatnot, so it's not final.
Alpha!
Hashtag alpha!
We also had some map-specific changes. Cursed Hollow, the tribute channel time went from 7 to 6 seconds. So that's pretty, I don't know.
It's minuscule, but I was kind of like,
yeah.
I don't know. That one was one where I was like, really? Because I kind of like it to be really hard to get the I mean, because what's happening right now, I feel like, is like, you can fight, die, resurrect, and come back, and still be in that fight. One. Yeah, and I kind of like that, but I don't know if that's necessarily good for the game. I just enjoy it, you know?
I'm with you on that. I completely enjoy the 3-minute first tribute fight.
I hate the first tribute. You guys are crazy.
It's like an ongoing war. It's like, you know, oh, we've called in reinforcements, and we thought that person was out of the battle, but they went back to the hospital and got better, and they came back. You know, like, I like the whole ongoing worldwide war kind of idea there, but
I think it was kind of to more force, like, if I'm tapping the tribute, you have to come to me now, kind of thing. Whereas, kind of like Dragon Knight is, like, you have a very, very, very slim opportunity to actually interrupt. And I agree that it should be a greater ability to interrupt, because that's the only thing you're contesting at the time instead of 3 different shrines. But on that map, like, it's super fun to fight over the tribute, and it's like when I'm tapping the tribute and I'm forcing you to come out of position to stop me from tapping the tribute, it's a game mechanic that a lot of players will overlook when they first start playing the game. And now it's like actually punishing people who don't position properly in order to stop the tribute, because they have less time to do it, and they potentially take more damage because they have to come in farther to stop me. So I think it's a good change, but 1 second off the cap doesn't really. If I'm not mistaken, I think what they really did was look at the travel time from the innermost gate, where you'd be leaving your base, and look at how the closest tribute to that gate, and like how long does it take. And I remember capping a tribute before the Malfurion left his base and came to me at their knights. Like, that's the timing we're working with now, instead of like crossing them, like, I don't know. I don't know
Well,
where their
that's-
head was at there, but it was one of the things.
That's what would kind of worry me is like the tribute. There's an element of randomness to it, you know. So if I just so happen to not be in the right area, then I might not have time to get there. Or if I just so happen to be
Switching him
really
screwed.
close, yeah. Or if I just so happen to be really close, you're screwed. You know, it's like so. I don't know. That one makes me squeamish. But again, we're talking about 1 second, so like
Mhm.
in a lot of ways, it's not a big
Right.
deal. I don't know.
Right.
I guess we'll see in the
I
Nexus.
guess so. Speaking of Dragonshire, kind of a big deal. Dragon Knight cannot be targeted by allied abilities,
Ugh.
talents,
Good.
which
Good.
you're happy? No, we're healing the Dragon Knight.
Rhaegar! Oh, you almost killed it. You spent all this damage on it. Rhaegar Ancestral. Oh, that's right.
Ancestral healing on the thing would take it. So like, oh, we got the keep. Well, the dragon's about to die. Nope, never mind. We're pushing for core. Like,
I mean, it makes sense because all the other capturable big baddies, you know, you usually
Yeah.
can't cast abilities on them, but it was pretty fun to cast abilities on the Dragon Knight.
the only thing that I noticed that was able to be cast upon to heal was Malfurion's talent would heal the Garden Terror as well.
Really?
Like the talent, whatever, I think it's like level 13 or whatever, the talent that makes him just heal regrowth people that are near him.
Oh,
Just-
okay.
Passive.
Yeah, his passive regrowth thing. That
Mhm.
thing would heal the plants, and I don't know if they overlooked it or if it doesn't anymore or whatever, but that's the only other thing that was healable.
Hmm.
I,
Uh,
I guess it counts as a hero, so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's kind of what the Dragon Knight thing was, too. Is it's like, it's a suit baddie, is what I call it. You know, it's like a suit you put on. Cause, yeah,
What
like...
happened to my Dragon Knight?
Yeah, and like
That's
the
a
Garden
good way to
Terror,
think
same
about it.
thing. Because like the golems, right? Those aren't a player. They're not a suit. They're like a being. But like the Garden Terror and the Dragon Knight are like a suit you put on, and then once the suit dies, you're still yourself, and you still have your own health. You know what I mean? Like Mario.
Like Mario.
Yeah,
I understand.
like
the
Raccoon
flower.
Mario. Yeah,
The flower,
Yeah.
the leaf.
yeah.
Not leaf.
The raccoon,
Uh,
flying guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The feather.
Everything
it.
comes back to Mario. You know.
Yes.
I see now. In addition to the Dragon Knight, apparently the siege camp at bottom. You know, we talked about the 6 giant push when we went over the Dragon Knight or
Mhm.
Dragonshire map before. Well, now it's no longer giants; they're knights on the bottom. So it's giants on each side of the lower camp, and then on the bottom is knight camp instead.
And incidentally, did you notice they changed the name of those again? That
Yeah.
they're now
Bruisers.
siege camps and bruiser camps.
So siege camps are the giants,
Yeah.
and the bruiser
Yeah.
camp is the.
Which
I
I
guess they're-
I like that they're
makes
no
sense.
longer
Bruisers.
easy and hard camps. I think that they like
Mhm.
that's fine. But bruisers is such a dumb name.
Get the
I'm
I don't
sorry.
even call it a night camp. I don't
Yeah.
like. It
They
is a
should be
night camp.
knights.
Yeah.
It's
then
it's
I
also
guess-
just because we're used to calling it nights. We want to call it nights. Like I know that's part of it,
Well-
but siege camps makes a lot of sense to me because that's what they're supposed to do. These
Mhm.
big giants are supposed to siege. But I mean, could we call it like warrior camps or like? I guess warrior wouldn't work because it's a class. See, this is why Blizzard doesn't hire me to make names for their things. I'm sure that there was a lot of thought that went into it, but
Bruisers.
bruiser camps. So
There was
there's
a thought.
2
They're
siege
like, "Why did
camps.
you not- They're like bruising things.
That's
Uh,
funny. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so there's 2
Good
siege
changes
camps and
continue.
a bruiser camp now.
Bruiser camp.
Yeah, that's another ninja nerf slash
Yeah,
buff
they
thing.
didn't talk about that one.
Yeah.
Furious D was in chat and he said that what happens is they write the patch notes before and then they're not quite sure which things are going to be pushed out with the patch, and so
Ah.
that's why there was a little bit of like obviously like the core shield was a big deal. It just didn't get put in with everything. I'm gonna continue to just flail.
Yeah, that's where everything's at.
Yeah.
All over the place.
Yeah. And, you know, all the Blizzard people in the chat, when I said dumb, I don't mean like, you know, you did a bad job. I meant that I thought maybe I could have come up with something better and then quickly realized I couldn't. And I owe you all the respect in the world. So
Somebody take her shovel.
don't hate me. Anyways, so what do you guys think about that? Having the bruiser camp in the middle of the dragon Shire.
It stops the bribe a lot. One of the things that people were doing is like taking their own siege giants and then quickly going down and bribing the other ones. It stops that from happening. It also, if you did do that, now you like that push like 9 out of 10 times will get the front wall, as long as you don't just like, all right, we got him, let's go top lane, like leave him. But this is significant now because the turrets actually give experience. So if the wall was taken down, it would yield a lot of experience because you get the experience from capturing the mercenary, from capturing the other mercenary, and then from 800 from the 2 turrets that you would inevitably kill with the push. So with knights push a little less hard. It also aesthetically looks nicer because the giants coming from that angle were just like very odd.
Yeah, to get to the giants too, just put the enemy team in such a weird and like really vulnerable position that I don't know. You got so much value out of those giants, like positional wise, and taking the turrets and stuff like that. So I think it's a good change.
Yeah, I'm
Awesome.
for it. I think the 6 giant push was a little excessive.
Yeah, you see the
You
4 and you're
got
like,
it.
oh god, like
Yeah.
you're just running, trying to deal with it.
Cool.
I
All
like
right.
it too.
Are there any other specifically map changes? There's one on Garden
There
Terror,
are
right?
a couple, yeah. Garden Terror seems pretty small. The Q for the Garden Terror is 4 Queen's Curse. The thing that turns your enemies into plants. The radius is decreased by 10%, so not a ton.
It doesn't really take up the whole gate when you're trying to get
If you
through.
put it dead center, the unit is too big to get through still.
Yeah,
But you have to put
But-
it like dead center.
yeah.
Placement.
That's a
Murky
little bit
might be able
better.
to squeeze in there because Murky's tiny, but
It does always feel like even if I'm on like the very tippy edge of that circle, I turn into a plant. So maybe
I
that'll kind of
know,
alleviate
yeah.
that a little bit.
one of the things is that it pulses, and a lot of people, oh man, that gets people.
That pulse.
Like you drop it, and then like they're like, I dodged it, and then they walk back into it, and they get pulsed anyway, and it turns back into a plant.
Yeah, that sucks. Being a plant
It
sucks.
can still do the same thing where it kind of like blocks off that small area choke point, or like of like a gate, or like the little tiny narrow ways between where the plant is in relation to the lane that you're pushing on top or bottom. I don't know if I can't really
Like it can
vocalize that choke
can
point
block
right
between
there
the,
that I'm thinking of.
the one. I
So,
think
like,
I know which
where the
one you're
bush is.
Oh yeah,
Where
yeah, the middle bushes.
bush, yeah,
top
the
and
little
bottom
tiny
middle
little bushes. You could put that
Yeah,
right
yeah,
there,
yeah.
and it still blocks the entire bush.
Yeah.
So
And then you could still block like between the well and the town
Yeah,
hall
exactly.
and
the town hall.
the
Someday, guys, we'll know what to call everything. Someday.
We've established that it is in fact a core, though. That's
Yeah.
still the
Yes.
same.
I
That didn't
was
change.
looking at something old that I wrote that was calling it a palace, and I was like, what? What's a palace?
It was a palace
Yeah.
at one point, wasn't it?
We're
Yeah.
gonna be those
Oh.
casters, like those OG people that call things names where like the newbies come in and they're like, what are they talking about?
They
And they're
don't
like,
even know, and we're
"Oh."
gonna be like, no, that's what
Yeah,
it used
that's-
to be. We'll be the hipster.
Yeah,
cast.
exactly.
It's like saying creeps.
Yeah.
It's exactly like creeps. People
Yeah.
say creeps all the time. Nobody's called it a creep, other than us for like.
Well, now you
Since
have
Dota
creep
2, or
tumors.
Dota, rather.
So
Yeah.
They're doing it so that they help us look cool, is what I'm saying. They're changing all
Right.
the names so we look really cool
right,
later
so
on.
we're really hipster.
Yeah.
We're really lame.
We look super OG. Yeah. Alright, anyway, I'm sorry I keep derailing us. What's next?
No, you're good. Haunted Mines is the last one. Maybe the biggest? I don't know. The underground minions and golem got stronger. Their starting health and health scaling both were increased by 20%. And then the summoned golem is weaker because its damage scaling and health scaling decreased by 20%. So it's going to take longer to kill things down in the mines. And it's going to... the push won't quite be as effective.
I was really
Yeah.
surprised by this one. Because I
I am
remember...
happy.
Well,
I
because I
wasn't. I
remember
wasn't
when
looking.
the Haunted Mines was so ineffective because people would just ignore the mines and they would just go for the knights or the bruisers and the sea camps.
They were knights
Instead,
then.
yeah, they were knights back then. And so I'm curious with making it harder to kill them and making the payoff less, like if we're gonna see a similar problem, or maybe it's just gonna equalize it and make it kind of a good balance now, or I don't know.
I mean, the golem doesn't do too much damage. I think just the biggest problem right now on mines is getting back into it when you're behind, because there's not a whole lot you can do on that map. It's so small, and I don't know. I think that's their biggest problem right now is if a team's behind, how do you get ahead? Or not ahead, but match back up. So
and you don't think that these changes won't be able to fix that problem?
No, it's just the map, so. how it's laid out. Really, is just.
Actually, it's interesting because even though they what the strength of the early golem is like hitting 10 before your enemy, so that you can really press the advantage, right? With the grave golem and your 10. Right. But they moved it so that the experience is also on the front structures, so like you can actually hit 10 prior to taking the fort down if you fought long enough in the mine still. Like, and then if you hit 10 and they're like 8, let's say, which is reasonable at that map, that there's no way you can defend anymore because they have ultimates, you don't. It is you can't do what we call our strategy, which is like scatter as efficiently. So that's good because like if you back in the day it was like, well, they scattered, they collected half the seeds or the skulls rather. Now it's like you actually get to fight over the camps, which is cool. I really like having to actually like care where I position myself on the map. That's cool, but I don't know about scaling down the grave golem itself.
That was my hope, was maybe that making the camps inside of the mine stronger would make it so that you couldn't just go in and take everything quite so easily, and that would help with the I always forget what people snowbally effect of the map. I at least like that they're working on trying to figure out how to fix it. If this doesn't,
they're making a bunch of changes to that map.
Because
I think they've made the most changes to that in Terror, the Garden Terror, rather.
What do you think, you guys? You know, you're saying it's just about how the map is laid out. If it were up to you, what kind of changes would you look to make on that map?
I think golems should push the same lane, and like reset every time. Yeah, it reset every time. So like, dude, 1 lane map, and no, hear me out.
No, I'm interested.
One lane map, and then like top and bottom, or both top and bottom have mercenaries, and when you kill the golem, it like basically goes back home, and then every time you go into the mines again, it comes out of the mines and like comes way out from back at your base and walks all the way across the map again.
So like
the reason I think that would be cool. I think the reason it would be cool is because then it becomes like both golems are gonna hit each other, and whoever's bigger on top of the fight. Like, could you imagine 2 grave golems, your team fight?
That would be so
fun. That would be pretty cool.
How epic would that be?
Clash of Titans style.
Yes, right? Right?
That would be really cool. And we
would
certainly
it be like
haven't
you
seen
have
anything.
Your own...
Yeah.
Would you have your own mine entrance or something, or would you still have to compete?
No. There's, yeah, that'd be cool too. There's
everybody
like
retreats to their base.
Oh man, they can make it so that the instead of being like everything's on this side and then here is the big boss, they could have the big boss in the middle where like you can get to him right away if you're towards the middle of the map, and then on the edges they had like near your stuff, they have those. So then it's like a big fight to collect on the sides, or it's not a big fight to collect on the sides. Those are like your skulls, quote unquote, and then you meet in the middle to fight your opponent to get the big boss.
Cool.
That'd be so awesome.
Okay,
would that still have
probably
the
fail
snowball
miserably.
effect though? I feel like that would still have snowball effects though.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean,
but
it doesn't
sounds
aggress.
fun.
It makes the map fun. I don't.
It
know.
makes it fun for the first little bit, but then.
So we'll have the QuibsY map. Blizzard, please.
The QuibsY map. That's what we called.
Yeah. A 1-lane map just is an interesting concept in and of itself. It would be difficult to pull off, but it sure would be interesting.
That was always my favorite to play when I played that terrible game, League. All random, all mid was my favorite.
We love all games. We are not discriminatory.
Do we? Okay, well then yay! I can say it.
Yeah. You don't have to be ashamed.
Thank you,
I
Anna.
played a lot of League.
I think both of us played a lot.
Yay, not the only. Okay. Alright, so we should probably move on from Battleground changes, unless you guys can think of anything else.
Nah.
Nope.
Cool. So we'll go through talent changes really fast. Promote and resurgence probably being, I don't know, there's a bunch. Promote, it heals the target that you're promoting to full health. It's now a 15-second duration where it was, unlimited?
Yeah.
it was just permanent.
Until it died. And then the cooldowns for the charges of promote have been reduced from 60 to 30 seconds. So, how does this change things?
Well, Abathur got an innate nerf from that, and Asmodee did as well, and also Zagara Infest. So Abathur can't just... I like it because you can't just go back to your base and be like, I'm going to promote this catapult and this catapult, now I'm good. Like, you have to be more proactive with it. I mean, Abathur's strong suit was taking out cores by being able to promote units and then forcing the team like, oh my gosh, there's a catapult there. But now that it only lasts 15 seconds, it doesn't really give enough time for the catapult. Like, even if you burrow down to where that catapult is, like if it's attacking the core already and you promote it, the core health is so strong already, it can't really do a whole lot. And then B, by the time minions spawn or the duration goes, it's probably only taken out the shield. So it kind of really hurt ending the game with promote. I like it. You got to be more proactive with it. But,
it always hurts when you lose that strategy that you're like, oh, I was winning with that.
You mean it's not healthy for the game to like promote 6 minions for the entire wave and 12 minions? Like...
Yeah, I think it's a much
Probably
needed
not.
change, but it also, I don't know. It's good and bad in a sense.
I like it a lot. I like the change a lot. It makes it so that it's a pushing, like it's actually a pushing talent, right? You have to be there for the push in order for that talent to be worthwhile. Other than characters like Asmodee or Abathur, who can be like with that promote can be anywhere on the map, doesn't matter.
Right.
Brightwing as well.
So yeah, Brightwing as well. Well, lesser extent, but I also like that they made it so that you can use it twice as much because they realize like, oh yeah, well that means if we're gonna take it away so it's not permanent, it's gotta be up when you make that push, right? It makes it so that promoted push is like, you know what I mean? That's the strong suit of that talent is when, we have, like, let's say we do take 3 promotes. Well, we can promote this whole wave and we will get that wall because we all came, we took it, and we could probably take the fort because they're all buffed so severely. So I really like the change. It's super intuitive. It's like, instead of safely promoting your minions back at the base and being like, well, when it gets there, it'll be good. Like,
I like it too. It makes it where you have to be a little more strategic with it than just, and you get a promote.
Oprah
is it
promote.
off cooldown? Use it. Doesn't matter where.
Yeah.
I think it'll take some time until like it really gets noticed how it can be used. So I'll still be messing around with it on Abathur and stuff, but overall, you'll probably see less play of it.
Well, speaking of talents that you might see less of, I don't know, Resurgence of the Storm, that age-old debate. Cooldown was increased from 2 minutes to 3 minutes. Is it enough, is the question that I keep hearing. Is it enough? Mr. MrJPickles is saying no.
Not at all.
Just a flat out no.
I don't think any amount of nerfing will. I think the only way to fix that talent is to make it like a Guardian's Angel in League of Legends, where like you die somewhere and you come back at that spot with like
30% health,
40% or 30% health or whatever, right?
Then it could be on a lower cooldown.
Yeah, then I'd be okay with it, because it's like, wow, that guy's really, really out of position. Kill him. Oh, he's just safely back in his base, full health. Like you could still do the it doesn't matter, I have Resurgence. Like, I have no idea how many times people have said that. Let me die, I have Resurgence. It doesn't even matter. I have Resurgence. And because the games are hard to end, your cooldown will come back up still. Like,
yeah. Dota has buybacks. How is it?
You can only do that a couple times. It costs gold.
It has a cooldown too after you
buy
back.
It has a huge cooldown.
And then when you die, you lose gold because you don't. You have like you have a stash that's your gold that you get to keep when you die, and then you have the stash that is the game's gold, I guess you could say. And so when you die, that's all gone. So, I mean, it costs money and there's a cooldown on it. So
I see.
So you would need it to hurt more. Like you would need it to
Yeah.
cost
Yeah,
more.
it needs
Like
to-
maybe
Mhm.
trade. You could like tap in, and somebody else would be dead or something like that.
Steal
Take my
stuff,
place in
Smash Brothers
Hades.
style. Steal your players like half of his life to
Yeah.
get back up.
Yeah, that's not a bad
That's
idea.
still-
Like take
that's cool, but
health
it's
from
still
someone
broken,
else.
I think.
yeah, it's
Yeah, because they
That
could
guy's-
just
that guy's-
okay, I'm hitting B and just buy back.
Right, exactly.
I think I like the res where you're at, or
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
either res where you're at, remove it altogether, or maybe add 1 more minute to it. Like make it a choice, because right now it's like, oh, resurgence, okay, cool. Like there's very few heroes at level 20 that you're like, I think this one may be better.
Right.
Like a
And it's always
Nubarak,
maybe better.
yeah, a Nubarak and Chena was like, no,
And
resurgence, always. And-
Tessadar is the one guy who actually takes it. Sorry, I think
Yeah.
you're going the other way with it.
oh no.
Testar's
like-
the one you don't take it with. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because he's Twilight Archon, but
So yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's the 2 arc thoughts on Resurgence. Rewind.
I'm so
another one
excited
changed.
about that one.
Yeah, it just refreshes. I like this because they talked about it being more intuitive. You don't like it? It refreshes all your basic ability cooldowns instead of just reducing them by 10 seconds, which I would also be confused because I would hit it and something still wouldn't be up, and it's like, well, why did I just hit rewind then? But then
I
it
think that's why they
increases.
made the change.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Because
but then it
there's a lot of
increases the
players.
cooldown as well from
Mhm.
60 to 90 seconds. Do you guys like it, or are you guys?
They were saying no.
Well,
You're just sad because it's not on a new.
I don't like it because they took it off one of my favorite heroes. So, but I think it's good. I think the longer cooldown for instant reset is really nice.
Mhm.
I know some heroes it didn't really affect as much, like Muradin, not really. I don't really know. I think Falstad as well. Rewind didn't really do a whole lot. But then there's some heroes where it really helps, like Kerrigan or Brightwing. There was a whole list I had of heroes that it helps. Like now you can do the full Kerrigan combo instantly. You can double poly instantly.
Right.
Anything
I
that
think
helps
that-
my girl Kerrigan, I am for. I want her back so
Me
bad.
I don't know if it
too,
actually helped
Brightwing.
Kerrigan though,
What?
because Kerrigan was like, I think there was like 1 second in between when you
Was
can
it?
combo again.
Oh yeah, it was 1 second. So it's kind
Like,
of
So I think it actually hurt Kerrigan a bit, but not enough to matter, because like realistically you're only rewinding once in a fight anyway, and it'll be back up in 90 seconds. So
I think Brightwing more, so it helped. Double poly.
yeah, Brightwing
Yeah.
is that's
Mm.
cool. You can actually effectively polymorph 2 different people, and help that one talent at 7. I don't remember the name of it. Regen Rains or Soothing Mist or something like that. That one, it helped that one too.
Oh yeah, regenerative brains.
Yeah.
And it was taken away from a noob and also Nova as well, which I think we'll be going into here when we get to the hero changes in just a second. But before we do that, one more imposing presence. The attack slow speed on that was increased from 30% to 50%, which I think is, I think generally people have been happy about that because before it wasn't a lot of times a talent that was taken. Yeah.
Yeah. Any
Mhm.
talent that's not being taken should be buffed. If it's a broad talent, right? Everyone's taking rewind, so it could see a nerf, and people would probably still take it in a lot of instances, right?
Mhm.
But with that, it's just like a bunch of people had it, and like 2 people actually took it. Like you can get away with it on like Uther sometimes and stuff like that. I wish they would tell me how long that attack speed slowed for. That'd be nice to know.
They're slowed though. Yeah.
It's permanent. It's permanent.
Forever.
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 All
That's
right.
a good change.
Yeah.
Anti-bloodlust.
Yeah, for sure. So those are generally the talent changes. There's a couple other ones, but not really too much to those. So with that, let's go finally into the hero changes. And I want to start with my man Tassadar, because he had probably the most changes. So just take that away.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you guys read the like reasoning that John Z put up to?
Yeah.
Just to show you viewers, there is a whole blog of like the reasons they did things, and I thought the reasons for Tassadar were really interesting and kind of on the nose. Like we've talked a lot about how Tassadar is billed as a support, but he pretty much plays assassin, so they kind of said, you know, we accept that that's really cool about Tassadar, but he probably shouldn't be so strong at both. Like you should kind of have to choose and make some sacrifices for that, which is really fair. You know, it's just all these Tassadar players suddenly cried out in anguish, you know, but...
And we're silenced.
Yeah, and we're suddenly silenced. But anyways, continue. Sorry, guys. What do you think about Tassadar?
QuibsY, you should take this, because I played him somewhat from time to time, but it was more so against him.
Man, I did a force wall thing, because I wanted to see how like support Tassadar worked, and it was like I was playing a whole different character, right? I was not the one that was actually doing the damage and trying to kill people. I was like, well, that guy's gonna stay alive because I gave him a really big shield. His shield is it is the actually biggest. It's bigger than Uther heal prior to the Uther nerf.
Wow.
And on a shorter cooldown. Like it's a big shield, right? So like that much shielding and doing that much damage never made sense to me, and it's always been joked about like, oh, he's the support assassin guy. Like that makes no sense, right? I really like that they made it so that like Oracle can be its own thing, right? If you need a character for vision, like a lot, I took mental acuity in one of my games that I was playing Tassadar, and I was like, my support player Chubbs was like, how are you, is that like an Oracle build? Like, what are you doing? How is that up again? I was like, it's literally, it's 15 seconds. I can pop it 15 seconds every time, and it's up for 5 seconds. So it like 10 seconds of not having vision. You can actually use him for what you need him for, right? You can use him for damage still. He still has the potential to do damage. It did hurt him, but overall, you can still use him as a damage dealing, size storming, like capturing the Tassadar that we knew in StarCraft 2 or StarCraft in general, right? But you can also play him in the new Heroes of the Storm way, where he's like a powerful mage who like is very good at protecting people and can create spaces for people with the walls and whatnot. So I really like the changes. All of them seemed really intuitive to me, because again, people like, if you like, let's say I'm new to the game and I'm like, well, I don't want to support, I don't like supporting in League of Legends where I came from, right? And so like, let's not pick Tassadar up. Well, now it actually makes sense. I'm not picking him now because he is a support and I don't want to play that role. But if I played Tassadar and I'm looking at it like, aren't I supposed to support? Like, talents really don't make sense here, but okay, cool, I can do tons of damage, so I'll just do it anyway. I don't think there's a single change on here that I was like, man, that doesn't make any sense. Is there anything in specific that you that I didn't like breeze upon or whatever?
No, I think
sense.
It's great. Do you think that he'll still be just as viable then? Still be chosen, just probably for far more different options? You can actually see him as a support as well then?
Yeah,
right.
He's more of a
I
flex
completely
pick.
agree.
He's more of a flex pick instead of a must pick, because before it was like, all right, either we get Tychus or we get Tassadar. Now it's like, okay, we don't need to worry about Tassadar. But now it's just Tychus. I don't know why he didn't get unchanged. Like Archon getting reduced, but Odin didn't.
I take that back. That is the one change that didn't make sense to me. The 3 seconds off of Archon. That's the only change that didn't make sense.
I don't know. Maybe the thought was, well, if you're still picking Archon when you're trying to go for support, then it's not.
It shouldn't be
too strong or something. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I guess, but
makes sense.
I mean, 3 seconds is 3 auto attacks, or 3 or 4 or something like that. But
or 3 bloodlusted auto attacks. Am I right?
Well, then it's like 5 or 6 auto attacks instead.
Yeah.
So.
That's true. All right. So Tassadar had a lot of changes, but hopefully for the better. We've got Lily.
Yeah.
Lily's getting some buffs.
Oh, little Lily. They did say again in the commentary about these changes that Lily is looking at an entire talent rework, but these are just some stopgaps, kind of, they were saying.
It's good.
Yeah.
Jugs of 1,000 Cups heals like ridiculously.
Oh my God.
Like,
the range is so good.
Everyone alive. Everyone.
I want to see Lillian more. I'm happy.
She's the Oprah Winfrey of heels now.
You get a heal.
You get a
you
heal.
over there,
You
way
get a heal.
way over there. You get a heal. Like, she's really fun to play now.
Yeah.
So,
At level 6 and up, her healing was increased.
Mhm.
Other
so do you
than
think
that,
we're
she
gonna
had
see
it
her
later.
become more viable, or is she still kind of
Oh,
like?
yeah.
Okay. So these
Yeah,
changes, in your
totally.
opinion, are enough to make her more reasonable for competitive play.
Absolutely.
That's good to hear.
Because now it's like we need a support who heals, like hardcore heals. I don't care about CC, I don't care about it. I just want a healer.
Mhm.
Well, that's Lily now. Like she can actually fill that role, right?
It seemed like that's how she was supposed to be, right? So that's awesome.
Like a little bit of off CC, but it's mostly just preventing a little bit of damage with the blinds and heals, and that's awesome.
Mhm. Well, cool. Yay, Lily.
Maybe
And-
I will stop disliking to play her so much. That will be exciting.
She's
Maybe.
she's crazy, because you can actually use your ult to actually save people.
I really
QuibsY
do
had
like
a really
healers.
good analogy for her. he was like, back before this patch, he was like, oh man, my Q's not pulling it. I need to ult. You ult and you're worse. It's like, oh my god. And that's exactly what it was. But now it's like you ult and that guy's saved. That guy's alive, man.
That's great. We need a super healer, so that'll be fun.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right,
Where
who's next?
Lily fans may be happy, but Nova fans
No, Nova.
may not quite so be. We talked about Rewind going away. That's pretty big for her. Like everything was based off of that. What else with Nova?
Snipe damage got
Hot
nerfed,
shot.
but it didn't really, and hotshots got nerfed as well, but it didn't. The snipe damage, I looked at it at level 10, and I think it's like 30 less damage or something like that, or not. Yeah, 30 less damage, 35, something like that. But like at level 10, 35 damage really doesn't matter.
The biggest thing
and
is
hotshots is
rewind.
30%. What doesn't really matter. It's still a good talent. It's just basically asking the player, do you want to burst more or do you want to do more damage? Because now you have like people are like, well, my damage goes up, right? And then you look at the one, and I forgot the other name of the talent that's like every time you like weave an auto attack in between your spells. That one.
Oh, follow
It
through.
actually- Yeah, that one. There's that choice now. I think it's still hotshots, but there's still that choice.
One in the chamber. Sorry, that's not follow through.
Oh, is that what it is?
It's
That's
one
a
in
way
the
cooler
chamber.
name.
One of
That's
the
why that guy is naming things.
And
should
Hot
name-
Shots.
we should
Hot
name the
Shots
booster
is
kit.
now anti-armor
Oh,
shells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I like hotshots better. That guy.
I
should
like
be fired.
hot shots a lot better.
Okay.
We need to somewhere at Blizzard there's the names guy. He just sits in his office, someone comes in, they're like, "Hey, I made this talent, this is what it does, what's it called?" And that guy's like, "That shall be called Hot Shots." And then later he comes back,
Let
he's
it
like,
be.
you know, I told you that was called Hot Shots, but it's actually anti-armor shells. I was mistaken. They're like, "Oh, okay, thank you, naming guy." And then we'll put that
I
in
want
the
that
next
job.
process. I know,
So
me
I can
too.
sit there and
Understand.
like.
That's what I'm
I can
saying.
sit there and turn and stroke and be like, I
He
say.
pulls out his big book of names,
Yeah.
and slaps it on his desk.
He's like an ancient oracle. He has like a corner office, and it's always kind of dark, and there's like candles, and they're like, "Are you ancient oracle? Are you sure that this name should have the same initials as Heart of the Swarm?" Yes, my child. It has been spoken to me. It shall be so. And they're like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "Yes, don't worry. You shall see." And we will see the ancient oracle.
Yeah, we
has spoken.
are.
Someday
Oh,
I hope I
Ancient
meet to meet.
Oracle.
I hope to
Town
meet that guy
halls.
sometime.
Mhm.
I want
Why
to
are they
notice
town
though, somebody in chat said also with the removal of rewind, you're gonna be able to see, like back then it was you have to take rewind because it is the only thing that increases your damage really efficiently. Now it's like, well, I have choices at level 13,
Mm.
so that's another healthy change for that.
Mhm.
And
Now
he's
she can't
completely right.
blow up. She can't blow up tanks either. Like if you, her
Yeah.
goal is to go for the squishies. So now she
Right.
can go for the squishies. I'm not gonna be a Chen and go in and then it's like, oh, I'm almost dead already.
Oh,
You got
Nova.
Nova. Yeah.
So
I-
think
I
that's a good change.
approve. I approve as well.
And she can still, I think it's instead of like instantaneously dying to her, it's
Mhm.
like, well, she burst me to half health. If I don't get healed or watch my positioning like heavily, I'm going to die the next time Nova comes back, and that's really really cool. It adds a lot more counterplay instead of, well, Nova killed me. There's no counterplay there. Like I'm dead. I saw her coming. I threw like banelings at her at Zagara and then they missed and she shot me and I died. Like that was the entire fight.
I think you're
so
right.
that's cool.
As like a general rule, it's just really good to see like anytime that it's universally agreed this talent is the only one you should choose at this level, that's bad.
Yeah.
So I think you're
Yeah,
right
yeah.
that fixing that is always a healthy thing.
That's why they got rid of it on my baby.
Let's talk about him next. A noob. A noob
newbie.
lost the
He really
rewind.
isn't now.
Yep.
Rip
it.
a
Get
noob.
it?
He's
A noob. Get it? The puns.
I mean, he wasn't in place of it, so it's not the worst thing.
Mhm.
But they also, I mean, they took away rewind and then they nerfed his shield. It was already like the shield wasn't even that much, hardened carapace. It wasn't that much already, and now it's even weaker. And it only lasts like 2-3 seconds. And then they nerfed Locust Swarm just a little bit. I mean, it's only a 0.5 per level, so it's nothing much, but it's still something. Like, I don't know. It hurts.
Carapace nerf made no sense to me at all.
Yeah, the shield nerf didn't. I don't think that was needed. The rewind though, I could see it. I think the next thing they need to do is fix his beetles. I mean, they run off into the most random locations ever. Like, it's you and one other person in the jungle, and the beetle's like, deuces, I'm going to the lane. Like, why are you? No.
Bye.
Mercenary camp, but it's like, I'm gonna go. You see that lane over there? Really appealing.
Yeah. So, I mean, rewind, I understand it.
Mhm.
Carapace, no, give it back. And then fix the beetles' brains, because they're a little bit dumb.
Dumb beetles? Like dung beetles? Thank you.
bet-
Thank you guys for that.
R.I.P.
I appreciate
ears. R.I.P. So at this point, have you played a noob since the changes? Do you just feel like it's not quite there, or?
I mean, his thing was CC. Like, Kerrigan has rewind, and it's a skill shot, but yes, I understand it's a little bit more difficult. Like, a noob was, he could take up a whole lane with it. He just lost so much power, I feel. He's still viable, but there's other tanks now that are a lot better in place of him because of those nerfs. Like, he's just too squishy. He doesn't have enough survivability. It's like they hurt everything of his survivability, and rewind was his like only thing really that gave him something. So I think you'll be seeing a little bit less play of him, and more play of other tanks.
He did have like a very high win rate,
Yeah.
like in tournaments. Do you think you think it's now too low, not even just at even keel with the other tanks? Because he is squishy.
I think it's gonna be really low just because he is so squishy and he can get bursted down. Like, look, I don't know. Locust Swarm never really healed enough. It did heal, so you had to focus him down, but I don't know. I think you're gonna be seeing a lot less play of him. I haven't played him too much since the patch because I was a little bit heartbroken and I wanted to try most of the other tanks because of their changes. So
Yeah.
I think you'll be seeing less of the Beetle King.
I just played him for the first time in my grind to 5 not too long ago before the patch. And that I kept feeling that same way too. Like, I assumed I would be a tank, I would be in the front of the battle, and then the tides would turn and I would just like, and I'm so big and slow, you know, I'm like, oh guys, wait up for me, and dead,
Got a lot
you
of
know.
junk in the trunk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
His big butt's waddling around. I'm trying to get away, and so I ended up learning. You know, I need to stay in the back and kind of, you know, shoot my damage over there and everything. But so I'm no pro player. I obviously have not as much experience as you, but I would tend to agree there. It seems like I had a hard time playing him due to his squishiness before, and now if I have less shield and all that, then I'd rather pick a different tank.
I mean, you may see more play of Web Blast then because of that. But the thing with Web Blast is any AoE breaks it. So maybe they need to work on Web Blast now. Maybe just
You hit his stitches with it, and he just like the putrid bile drops below him, and it melts it. Like it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah. Vala Strafe instantly takes it out. Like I think if they reworked Web Blast a little bit,
I think you should have to auto attack it. It's like a healing word.
Yeah, exactly. I think you have to hit it. I mean, it already is ticking down with time, so I think if you hit it, then that should count.
Oh man, imposing presence, and you have to hit it.
Oh well, would that affect it?
No, like I'm saying, like if they hit you and then you web blast somebody,
they're like, trying to break it. That could work.
that'd be cool. I think it should. I really think it should have to be like healing wards need to be auto attacked. The totem from Rhaegar needs to be auto attacked. The scouting drone needs to be auto attacked. Like everything needs to be auto attacked. And then there's that thing that could just like, oh, it died. You know, inadvertently died.
I think if they rework that, then you'll see. If they fix Web Blast, then you'll see a little bit more of him. But right now, he's kind of low tier.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
Poor bug. What
And
about
he talks a
Abathur?
big game too. His voice pack's all like, "I'm the best. I'm
also
the
a
king."
bug.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's go to the other bug.
Yeah. What about Abathur?
Confirmed for
Abathur.
Promote, a little upsetting for Abathur fans, but do you think that he's also been nerfed too much, or
He
hate
fits.
to use a nerf?
He's good, I think. You can still use him. Promote, it hurts him, but I still kind of want to play around with it, like aggressively promoting. Because if there's all 5 in one spot, you can still aggressively promote. I think Ultimate Evolution, being what it is it's big. Like, it's a long cooldown now, which I understand the reasoning behind it. But on the same, I don't know, it could be a little bit shorter, I think. Overall, though, I don't think Abathur is really that bad. I think he's still strong.
Yeah.
Solid now.
I mean, would you guys agree that he generally needed a nerf? Like,
Yes.
needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the Vileness talent didn't really do anything for me. The one thing I would like to have seen is for Locust Swarm to be, instead of being where you just spawn 4 locusts right away, because the one that's coming out when you deep tunnel somewhere, and then the 3 that you summon with the 16 talent, I think it'd be really cool to have to be there for the like, you just increase the amount of locusts per second coming out, instead of like, this is the time where I come in and I burst with my locusts. And what that would do is it would stop players from I show up to the lane every minute, I use one button, and then I go back to home where I'm safe. And so it promotes counterplay, instead of showing up to a lane, doing your thing, see you later, and then there's no counterplay unless you are false dead, where you can fly up right away. But like, I think that's the kinds of changes that he needed to have, instead of nerfing his ultimate by like 12 seconds or whatever it ends up being on average.
Okay. Well, I think that he's another one that they've said they're still working in the reworks with Abathur as well, as Lily, including eventually another heroic ability. So that will be interesting.
I
I think
have a
if the
question.
ultimate.
Oh,
yeah,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if ultimate evolution stays as is on that like really long cooldown, his other ultimate, pending of course what it is, could actually be a little bit more appealing.
I just want a super hat.
Yeah, super
Really
super
Super
simple.
hat.
Yeah, dude.
We talked about how cool it would be if, instead of copying somebody from your team, you copied somebody from the other team.
It could work.
I
It
think that'd be
depends where you
confusing for
spawn.
viewers.
Yeah, it would confuse viewers, and then also where would you spawn? Because if you spawn like right on them, you're gonna die instantly.
Yeah.
We can
It
just
would
use
be
that.
cool, though.
We can use that on the
It would
one
be
lane
really
QuibsY
cool, 'cause
map.
it's like,
We can
Yeah,
use that one.
All these ideas. You
Yes.
just.
We'll have to
all right.
call up the naming oracle and ask him to get us a job at Blizzard.
Yes.
I have a
he
question
he
though.
can do that.
This is kind of unrelated, but you keep dropping these number bombs where you're like, it's actually an average of 12 seconds that it's actually costing you all that
Oh.
stuff. And
that's
so
just
I'm
the thing I spat out.
no, but what I'm asking is like, I'm always looking for those numbers, and I have a really hard time finding them. So is it something that you find just from playing enough games, or do you have suggestions for our viewers who might be looking to like really dig into the math of the heroes?
So Pickles, you play a lot more Abathur. I think you should take, like, because I just threw out the number 12. It's probably fairly accurate.
It's not even necessarily related to
Oh.
Abathur, but just in general, like,
right.
you know, how do you find these numbers, like how much XP this will award you, and how, you know, those kinds of things that aren't
Oh.
explicitly said in patch notes or in the game or anything like that. What's your
Okay,
strategy for
so-
that?
So when when at the very beginning of the patch notes, I saw it said that the town hall will no longer contain everything, and the other buildings will contain everything, like, or not contain everything, but will yield experience. I paid very, very close attention to like I think the keep ones actually give more experience, and I was just like, oh well, I need to know exactly how much it is so that I can know how much I trade. If, like, let's say they get a kill and I get a turret, who wins that exchange? I think the turret wins early on, and then later towards like level 12-ish or something like that. Maybe I don't know where the experience scaling would be, but like you just really pay attention to, like, when they say that stuff, you gotta go, oh well, like that's why I was like, I wish they'd show us how long imposing presence actually stayed on, because I mean I guess I go to try mode and figure it out, but let's be real, like I'd rather just see it and know it. I don't.
So it is just a study in game.
It's just like, oh yeah, basically a lot of games, and then like a focus in the game too. Like especially when you're trying out different builds on different characters, you have to like, well, was I affected by this talent choice when I took this, or was it like, how many games did you do with that talent before you said it was trash? Like, you know what I mean? There's people that are like, oh, I tried it once, it's bad. Like, try it a couple times, get yourself a little sample pool, see exactly what works and what doesn't, what kind of math that you're working with, and really pay attention to what you're doing. Like, if you're trying to become really good, you got to do a lot of homework, kind of deal.
Gotcha. Good advice. All right, sorry, I keep derailing us again, but we have a couple more changes to look at before we get into our hero spotlight.
So let's talk Illidan. A little bit about what happened there.
Slight damage buff, although, I mean,
Immolation is the same pretty much. But I noticed like severe damage. Like, even it's a 10% increase to the bonus damage, but like, if I did giants on a map at the same level I did them in prior to the patch, and it was just so much faster. Like, you can actually effectively do the giant camp without help. You can. One of the things that I was kind of complaining about when I played Illidan was, like, prior to level 13, when you get giant killer, his damage is kind of lax, and it's like it made sense because he really didn't do enough damage early on, and now it's just a flat bonus damage to the ability, and it also makes players think, like, if I use W to run away and then I come back to the fight, the W is going to be on cooldown, so you're not going to do enough damage when you Q back into the fight. Like, you have to really, really evaluate, can I evade to that minion over there with a Q, or do I have to use W and sacrifice my damage output? Like, it made it not only a movement ability. I really like that change.
I think it's a good one, and you'll definitely be seeing Illidan a little bit more in compositions, depending on, of course, what the other team has, but I think Illidan definitely has a spot now in competitive.
Trixler will be happy about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I saw him in chat earlier, so Trixler.
There you go, Trixler.
I wonder if he's mad because, like, more people will come to Illidan, and he wants to be that guy who plays Illidan, you know what I mean? There are some of those people, you know?
There are. I've got a friend who is, like, level 10 Illidan, and that's before patch.
Right.
Loves Illidan. Well, now they're what they care about is viable, right? Like, they've been confirmed. Like, oh, I was playing Illidan before he was easy mode. Yeah, hipster Illidans.
I was playing Illidan when he had a silence, like, taking it way back.
There you go. All right, so
we're saying about how people aren't prepared in chat.
Oh yeah.
People aren't prepared.
Now I am complete. He actually is complete now. So any other changes from this patch? I noticed you guys put a couple things down. Did you want to say those really fast? As well.
Void prison changes.
Oh, okay, yeah, cool. They labeled them as bugs, which is interesting. I guess they're technically bugs, but like, it made sense that two of the really noteworthy things that I noticed were that void prison doesn't stop an ultimate channeled spell. It like pauses it. It's like, all right, timeout, Nova, stop triple tapping for 5 seconds.
Just
hold on.
a sec.
We have things to do. And then at the end of that 5 seconds, she's just like, all right, well, I was gonna triple tap you. I'm just gonna keep going, I guess. So that's cool. And it makes sense thematically with what Void Prison does.
Right.
And then roots stop Brightwing and Falstad from Zing away from people, which is also really cool because it was really frustrating to be like, oh man, we got him, I got a root, and then it's like, where'd he go? He was rooted, like he should be in that place. So I think that's why they made that change. I don't, or they just meant for it to be like that in the first place. That's why they labeled it as a bug. But you know, I'm not on the dev team.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Well, I think that's about it then. Unless you guys had anything else to note about the patch.
Prepare for Muradin.
Yeah, is he on his way?
I think he's got some, since the other tanks, Nubarek, got removed.
Cough.
Moment of silence.
Got hurt a little bit. I think Muradin kind of went up a little bit as well. So I think you could see a little bit more of him.
As sad as I am about a noob, I'm really excited about that because
Yeah.
I like Muradin.
Me too.
He's always been on the fence. He still kind of is on the fence, but I mean, it's always nice to see new stuff because
We weren't the only ones trying him out in scrims. People,
Yeah.
I noticed people were like, well, let's see what this guy does now, because like he was so close. Like, his kit's immaculate. It's so good. And then you're like, but he does nothing. Like, and then they changed some things, and people are like, well, they changed him. Hold on, how good is it? Are those changes? And I think you'll see some people who were good at him prior are going to be like really good at him now because they can't even be punished anymore, really, due to the second wind talent. But it'll be fun to see Murden. Man, he's such a cool hero.
He's pretty funny too. I like him a lot.
So wonky.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. Well, prepare for Murden, guys. That's what you can take away from this. Moving on to our character spotlight.
Yes.
We are going to talk about the new one. It's Jaina.
Bum, ba, ba, ba.
Bum, bum, bum.
Jaina.
So, QuibsY's going to tell us a little bit about Jaina. Even though, I mean, he's not 10 with Jaina or anything.
I tried.
tisk.
I mean, he could have been if he tried a little harder.
I know.
Sure, but,
No way, man.
yeah.
World first 9, Jaina. No, not really. There's people in front of me.
So Jaina, a little bit before we get into it, what would you say her best use is within a team comp?
She's like a reverse Nova, is how I've classified her. Instead of killing the people in the back, the squishies in the back, it's like, well, if I slow this guy, like let's say Arthas is running at my team, if I slow him enough, everyone can focus him down as my team retreats, because she's got a lot of AoE, and she's got a lot of slow potential, right? So I think that her best suited is like the reverse Nova role, where she still bursts, but she's bursting a different target.
Okay.
Obviously, opportunistically, she could be on the squishies as well, but yeah, no, it's that's where I found her to be truly shining when kiting back.
Cool. That's really awesome. I don't think that there's anybody maybe really like that yet, and something to really mess with the typical team comps as we've seen before. So that's really neat. Do you maybe want to just go over her abilities really fast?
Yeah, sure.
Before we get into the build that you've given us?
Sure.
I will go
so
into
her
try
Q
mode,
is-
but I know I need to fix you guys because my OBS just switched you. So oh no, it was right this time. Okay, so never mind. Completely
So,
lied.
do you want to have me go over them while you go over them?
Yeah, no,
Is that-
just go ahead and talk, and I'm just gonna play with her in try mode while you do.
Okay, cool. So her Q is on a 4-second cooldown, and it is a single target line missile that is blocked by anything that any minion structure, anything like that. It hits one target initially without talents, and it applies chilled. I think actually I should mention her passive first. It is chilled. By default, without talents, chilled is a 4-second slow for 25%, and it increases all the damage on her other spells by 50%, is it?
Oh yeah, wow.
Man. Yeah, I'd probably know this if I was 10.
It is,
It's
yeah.
50.
Yeah, no. Oh, okay, so 50%. So that means if you keep hitting somebody over and over and over again with all these cool spells that she has, she'll end up doing a lot more damage, right? And that's super fun and interesting way to build a character. And it resembles the World of Warcraft thing really well. Anyway, enough about that. Frostbolt. You throw your Q, it's one missile, it's one line, it's a little Ice Lance type thing. And and it's pretty simple. It's your main damage ability. You should always have your target if you can, unless you're using it to catch up to somebody or whatever. You should always have your target chilled prior to throwing your frostbolt, because it is your highest damage on your shortest cooldown. Blizzard is your next ability on W, and it makes a small area crash down on the enemy, and twice. It'll go once about the same speed as Zagara Roachlings, and then a second time shortly after that. It also applies chilled, of course. All of her abilities do, and it does the second most damage on the longest cooldown of 15 seconds. Cone of Cold being the last talent, 10-second cooldown, is a small cone very similar to Kerrigan's range and radius that is exactly what it was from World of Warcraft. It's just a wind of cold, I would describe it as. That does the least amount of damage out of the 3 abilities, so it's usually what I think should be used to apply chilled for the first time. And then our 2 ultimate abilities are Ring of Frost and Water Elemental, which are literally translated out of World of Warcraft and are so cool. So Ring of Frost drops an area, and on the edges of the circle, not in the center, the enemies will take damage if it pops at the same time that they are on this circle. Not in the circle, on the circle.
Yeah, everybody needs to make sure it's not in it. It's on the edge.
It's not in it, it's on it.
Yeah.
I see.
Because I know a lot of people were talking
I
about
missed
it. We're
so
like,
many.
what's going on? Why isn't it
I
hitting?
missed so many, and I was just like, what the hell? This thing's broken. I thought it was the game. I was like, no, man, no way it can be me. And then Water Elemental is exactly what it was in World of Warcraft. It's just a thing that you can target different things with, which is really cool. When it comes out, it does splash damage in the area that you summon it, and then it can auto-attack whatever you target by hitting R again, so that it targets whatever you're targeting.
Oh, I see.
You can also use it to scout with for a short amount of time, and it applies chilled every time it auto-attacks. So it's another really good way of chasing kills or running away from people, like getting distance so that you can effectively keep them chilled and get away or chase, and always keep them chilled. Always. It has a small splash, so anyone in the area that they're attacking will get chilled as well. So it's really cool. I like that ultimate a lot.
And
Awesome.
if you get the Christmas skin for Jaina, it's a snowman that throws snowballs at people.
Oh,
It's
really?
cool.
Yeah, that
I
one's
need
that's
that.
the only reredeeming quality of that.
You need to get out of
I think.
try mode and get the Christmas skin and then
Yeah.
show that one, because it's really cool.
The snowballs that he throws.
Yeah.
I love it because he's like snowball.
Yeah.
Snowball.
I think he even switches hands too.
Oh,
Like,
does
to
he? I didn't
reload.
notice that. That's awesome.
I don't know. I could be making that up, but it is really cool.
All right, so I linked your build in chat, but maybe if you just want to go over really fast your choices and, like I said, any ones that maybe build off of each other and where you're going with the building.
Okay. So at level 1, I started out taking a couple different things, and I ended up thinking that Lingering Chill, which increases her chill effect from 4 to 6. So it lets you keep them chilled for a little bit longer. I'm just going to go over mine first, and then we'll go back and talk about the other ones that I am not taking. Arcane Intellect makes it so that you can, when you auto attack, or if you hit the target at all that is chilled, you will get some mana back. It keeps me in lane. It makes me sustain. I don't run out of mana in team fights, and she's spell centric. So if you can't use your spells, you're useless to your team, and that's the reason I take that. Ice Lance makes it so that at level 7, Ice Lance makes it so that if you hit a target with your Q that is chilled, it makes it a 2-second cooldown instead of a 4-second cooldown. This is very important because, as I said in the very beginning, it is your highest single target damage burst thing, and it does the most damage on the shortest cooldown, and it is made better by Ice Lance here. Level 10, I've opted for the Water Elemental. It does less burst, but it forces enemies to remain chilled. It gives you chase potential, and it's wicked strong. Level 13, I ended up taking Icy Veins because you can just your 2-second cooldown on Q becomes like a 1-second cooldown if you hit it, and if you don't hit it, it still refreshes really fast. It triples the clock effectively for your spells for 5 seconds. The mana cost is cool, but because I take Arcane Intellect to level 4, it's kind of inconsequential. Those talents kind of overlap a little bit. And then at level 16, I take Northern Exposure, which is effectively Tyrande, but on a 10-second cooldown in an area. So that's really, really good. And then at level 20, depending on if I'm getting focused down or not, I'll either take Bolt of the Storm or Winter Mute. Bolt of the Storm if I need to get away. Like, say there's a Tyrael on the other team, and he'll auto-attack me with his ult, so I have to bolt away from it.
Subtle.
Subtle. I have to bolt away from it, right? So that's an instance that I take it, or if there's like Falstad lasering me or something that's putting me in danger consistently time and time again, and I've made it to level 20. Alternatively, if I'm not getting pressured by the enemy team, Winter Mute is the other level 20 talent that's exceptionally good. It makes your frost elemental or your water elemental cast all the things you do in the place that you cast them, so you can effectively cast like 12 spells in like 2 seconds.
Gee.
It's really crazy. And it's halved, but if they're chilled, it's just one full spell instead of halved, pretty much. At least if it's additive. I don't know that. I wish I did. But anyway, that's really cool. I really like that level 20 talent. It's really fun to play with, as well as very, very high damage.
Awesome.
To go over some of the ones that do synergize, that I didn't take. Ice Flows at level 7. Doubles the width of the cone and makes it so that you
Oh, that's nice.
are reduced by half, right? That's really, really cool, especially when coupled with level 16, everything that you hit with it becomes marked. So, like, let's say you're fighting and there's a minion wave there. Well, there's 7 minions in the wave, so it reduces your cooldown on a 10-second spell by 3.5. You hit your enemies, let's say you hit 2 of them, so now that's 4.5. You've effectively half the cooldown, and then you took Icy Veins, so now it's on a 4-second cooldown and reduced by like 3 seconds pretty much per second, so it becomes a 1-second cooldown because you hit the wave and 2 heroes. Like, those two synergize really well. Taking Blizzard talents in general, obviously all synergize. It's really cool. You can do a lot of reach builds with Jaina where you're like, man, I need to stay wicked far away from that guy because I will die super fast if they get on me, and that's a possibility for her.
Cool.
Other than that, I haven't tried much, or I haven't not tried, but I haven't done much of her defensive stuff because I was like, man, if I'm not doing enough damage, I'm useless anyway. And I trust my own positioning to not be punished, and so that I can take these other talents that give me more damage. The other ones would be like Sprint, Ice Block at level 13, and then level 7 Frost Armor is actually I think it's actually kind of worse than like the typical block talent at level 7, like Dodge from Chen. But it's cool. It applies chilled. Almost all of her stuff. Like, I don't think there's anything she actually does other than like in Venom that doesn't apply chilled. So it's really cool.
That's neat.
That is cool.
It's a very pretty all blue build you've made here too.
Yes,
Very
quite.
Isn't everything blue?
quite
Like, no matter what you
lovely.
click,
Yeah,
it's
I know.
all blue.
And
Sprint is
Venom,
definitely
Sprint,
not.
There's like Sprint is red and Venom's
There's
green.
some purple.
Swift Storm.
It's
Yeah.
all blue, man. Everything's blue. It's Frost. It's Frost. I
Can
made
I
a
just
Frost mage.
mention Swift Storm? They need to do something to that. I don't understand it at all.
You take
I don't
that in Murky. What you do is you take that
Yeah.
in Murky and give him a hat. He's the best turret ever.
Well, guys, don't forget, as we kind of finish up talking about this, we will have our Q&A next. So if you have any questions about anything we've talked about on the show, or just life in general, anything you want to ask, tweet at us with the hashtag StormShow and questions and ask them of our guests if there are any. You can also say them in chat, but we are not guaranteed to grab them from there. We sometimes miss them. But yeah, so overall, how are you feeling about how Jaina stacks up in terms of team compositions and next to the other heroes?
She definitely fulfills, like I said, she's like almost a reverse Nova. So like there's a solid space for her to fill, and I really like her. She feels super fun. You get to sit there and spam abilities all the time. It's really, really cool. However, there are characters that punish her heavily. I'm looking at Stitches, Illidan, Chen, and Kerrigan, let's say, who all can dive her, and they don't care if they're slowed. None of them care if they're slowed, because they will get on you. So there's room for counterplay from the enemy team, but there's room for you to have your own niche, which is like what all of the heroes kind of should have while they mesh together in the Nexus. So I really like her. I think she stacks up extremely well in competitive play. She has all the necessary tools to be competitive, and I'm more excited for her than I was for Asmodan by far, for her in the competitive scene.
Cool.
Awesome.
I think if she has a good line protecting her, she can do so much work on the enemy team.
Wreck.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, on that note, we're going to get to see Jaina in our play session here in a second, but we do have a couple of questions from the Q&A. This one is from Mark Hutley at Okay, thank you. You knew I was struggling, didn't you?
He's one of our stats keepers and top mods for Misscliks D&D, so he's hanging out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us. He wants to know, when does a team start adjusting their play for a new patch? As soon as notes are released, or do you wait until the patch is released?
I would say we start taking notes about it when we see the patch. But you can't really test anything until the patch is actually out and really get a number gauge. So you can take notes like, all right, well, maybe this can be good and maybe this is bad. Like, we took notes on Anubarak about just how Rewind hurt him a lot and what could happen to him. But then we went and tried it once it was available. So it's kind of a take notes, and then once you get the patch, try it.
Okay.
Yeah, I completely. Most of the time they're released around the same time, but definitely when the patch notes came up before the servers and everything, I was reading over the patch notes going, well, this is worth mentioning to my team. I want to go back to them and be like, yo, guys, I want to play some Murden. We haven't played that guy since like 3 years ago, but he's awesome, I swear. Like, you know what I mean? It's interesting to see small changes coming out in big ways. So it's a way to guide your practice. When you as soon as you find information, you should be thinking about it. But it's a way to guide your practice instead of like, well, it just dropped on your head and somebody else did it first and they caught you off guard with it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got another question from our loyal friend Ogre Yonder here. Do the changes to promote make Abathur less viable? Did the update changes take care of the Asmothur cheese combo?
Asmothur. Go ahead, Pickles, on that one.
So about the Asmothur cheese, I mean, now that the core has so much strength, no, you won't be able to really end it with that cheese. You can take turrets and forts though really well, although I would feel that there's better heroes than Asmodan that could fill that role. Plus, there's other heroes that have a stronger team fight and lane presence. Like Asmodan runs out of mana really quickly, so I think the Asmothur cheese combo is pretty much dead. As for Abathur being less viable, maybe a little bit, but he's still really strong in lane pushing. He may not be able to secure the game win for you, but he can definitely split push like a boss. And he doesn't even really need promote anymore. I would take stab damage, and then so you kind of sacrifice the lane pushing, but now you're stronger in team fights and stuff like that. So I think Abathur is still viable. He definitely isn't an always pick or a must pick, but he's definitely still high up there. So you'll probably still see some Abathur bans or Abathur picked quite frequently.
I guess the goal is that you dream as a developer, I'm assuming, I'm not a developer, but you dream of like having no must picks, you know, that like ultimately you could make a team comp just based on like, these are our heroes that we're good at and they're also balanced that we can kind of, you know, react to the other team and all that stuff. So I think it's good to hear when someone gets nerfed where it's like, okay, they're not a must pick anymore, but they're still viable. That's exactly kind of where we want them to be, I would think.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem is just the hero.
Those are nightmares, Anna. Those are definitely nightmares. Where they're like, oh man, everyone's unbalanced, nobody can be played.
Yeah.
Like, those are nightmares.
Well, I think that's all of our questions. We just had a couple in Twitter today.
Mhm.
I didn't see any in chat. So I think, guys, we are running a bit behind. Sorry about that. We had a lot to cover, but we are going to do our game session now. So I think we're going to go to just a short commercial break while I get the game set up, and then we'll be back in, and we'll be doing a custom game where you can see some amazing Jaina action, and we'll be on the new Dragonshire.
Woo! Alright guys, so the stream will go down for just a second. Don't worry, we'll be back. Hang around, and we'll see you in just a second.